Hey everyone, we're here with Nic Nemeth here on the Wrestling Chatter. How's your day today?
Going great. Doing a bunch of media for TNA, and it's been a blast so far. I'm just singing the praises of everyone in the ring and behind the scenes, and doing it over and over is very easy when you don't have to fake it.
We'll talk a little bit more TNA, but I want to start off with something fun, just because I interviewed Mike Mondo a couple weeks ago, and I started it the same way, but that was through Zoom.
Okay.
But now I could do this in person. I got a little something to show you.
Okay.
This little bad boy.
There we go.
Your first action figure ever.
Yes.
So I know you were a big wrestling fan growing up. So what was
Yes.
it like being immortalized now in action figure form? You can even hold it if you want to.
It's one of those moments that's like cooler than anything else, because there's going to be several times that where it's like, hey, WWE is calling me and saying you're hired. Oh my God, it's the craziest thing. It's my first time getting into a ring and stepping up to the top rope going, whoa, what the hell? Then you're in a video game. You're an action figure. You have a T-shirt. All these different pieces. You're on the cover of the DVDs back when we sold DVDs. All these different pieces. Every step of the way is like awesome. Some little kid comes up to you and like has your shirt on and says something cool, or like does the hip swivel, and you go, yes, this is it. Like every step of those moments are absolutely insane. Like it's every once in a while, if you're having a bad day, like you realize how lucky you are, how cool, how many different things you've done, and most importantly, the money.
Yeah.
But also all these other pieces. No, I'm kidding around. But like, there's so many steps. Every time there's something new, and this was the first one. Like to go, I made it. Like I friggin' made it. I'm one of these. If they kill us off and beat us up, which they did the whole time, I go, and we're done, I'll always have this. I was in this Saturday night's main event. I was in the main event of Raw. I was in this pay-per-view. I punched Shawn Michaels in the face. Like, there's all these moments that you have that you just, if that's it, I still won.
Let's put this bad boy right here, just to show everybody. But I have a next one, just the evolution of your action figure. This one right here. So who do you think would win between these two?
Well, neither one of them has a great win record.
But one of them's got more backup.
But one of them does have more backup, but then also one of them has higher profile matches by themselves. Ooh, it's a great question. But the backup tends to not really help out that much. I'm gonna go with the versus Kofi 500 times Intercontinental Dolph over there on the shirtless one, if we're doing shirts and skins, because one, he backed it up in the ring, but also took care of business behind the scenes, backstage, much better than this young man. But this guy was still figuring it out.
Yeah. Before we talk all about TNA, I do want to ask one more thing. Do you still get people coming up to you and with these ones and having you autograph the Nicky action figure?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's whether it's Spirit Squad stuff. I was a caddy for a couple of months that people don't really remember, but there's no T-shirt or toy or anything like that. But yeah, of course, people come up and go, "Hey, do you remember this?" And I go, "Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't." But an old action figure, hell yeah, I do. Like that's one of those things where I saw it and like I feel like there's 20 figures, but every time one comes out, until like the last couple of years, where like Zack Ryder would be like, "Hey, listen, you got another figure?" I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. What is it?" But other than that, every one of them goes, "Man, I freaking made it. Some little kid is playing with a toy of me. Are you kidding?" Like. That's unheard of. Like, I won the lottery. I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
So we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of your TNA debut.
Okay.
Aside from the obvious, winning the world title, what have been some of your other highlights in TNA?
The first pay-per-view match I had with Steve Macklin, the first time I talked, I believe it was with Steve Macklin in the ring. I was very nervous to see if I could go and back it up, and if fans would go, "Oh, he was all talk for 20 years, or can he still go?" Wrestling Moose, I was looking forward to, and that I got to do it twice. So many other people. I got to tag with my brother. I got to do a 60-minute Iron Man match with Josh Alexander, which again was one of those times where I go, can I still go? I haven't been challenged like this. So those things that scared the hell out of me, much like stand-up comedy, those are the ones that I remember the most.
Oh, we're going to talk about comedy in a little bit. But TNA's been around since 2002. And I know you were a big wrestling fan, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So were you a big TNA fan in the early days, in the weekly pay-per-view days?
I was not a huge fan of anything outside of what I was doing, and here's why. I was giving everything to it, but also it was the old days before COVID, and anytime they asked you to do something, you said yes.
Yeah.
And there was Sheamus, Kofi, Miz, and myself who were constantly doing PR work in between our 5-day schedules. We would do a Friday live event. And I was coming in from the West Coast, so I'd fly out on a red eye on Thursday. Friday live event. Drive 300 miles, do a Saturday live event. Drive 300 miles, do a Sunday live event. Drive 300 miles, do a Monday Night Raw. Tuesday, we would tape SmackDown for Friday. Wednesday, I would fly home. Thursday night, back to a red eye, or stay on the road and go do PR in Istanbul, Turkey, or Bucharest, Romania, or wherever they were sending us, Australia. And I lived that life like that so long that it was like when I had one day off, I wasn't watching my wrestling. I sure as hell wasn't watching Bob Roode's TNA. No offense, Bob, you're the best. But when I did get to a point to where, not just after COVID, but that's when it locked in so much to where it was like, you have 3 off days a week, probably every week. Then I could decompress for a day. Then I can go, hey, what is AEW doing? What is TNA doing? What is Ring of Honor doing? What is WCW doing? Any of those things. What's the independent near me? Then, because I love wrestling so much, once you get to turn your brain off for a day, you can go back to going, here's what they're doing here, here's the product they're offering here, how can I be innovative and combine these and make it for me? So it went from I needed a little break here and there, and then slowly but surely I wanted to see what everyone was doing and try and go, base that on the future of where we're going.
When you started wrestling in WWE or pre-WWE, there was a gentleman by the name of Lance Storm that was very influential in your career, and now he's there in TNA now.
Yes.
So what is that like, kind of seeing a full circle moment with him, early in your career, and now some would say in your prime of your career?
Absolute torture. He's the worst. He's psychotic. He's a nerd. He calls me out on everything. I'm being serious, but I'm joking around. I love Lance so much.
Yeah, if you can be serious for a minute.
Yes, if we could be serious. We did not have cable a lot of my growing up, so I had a UHF TV, and it showed ECW on Friday for an hour, and on Saturday it showed ECW for 2 hours, and it was the same show back to back. So I watched the same show 3 times a week on a black and white UHF TV, and Lance Storm was my absolute friggin' hero. And my first day at OVW, I pulled up in a car, and he pulled up in a car, and I go, oh, what are you, rehabbing an injury? Because I had heard, I'm not being a good internet guy, but I had heard for guys who are on the full-time roster, when they were rehabbing an injury, you get a couple reps at OVW, and then they go back to the road. I was like, whoa, are you coming back from an injury? And he's like, no, I'm the new teacher. And I go, oh my God, instant teacher's pet. Does anyone want to, hey, can I do it? Hey, can you show me? One, I wanted to learn, but two, I was like, I'm learning from the guy that not just you grow up watching WWF, this was the guy that I go, this guy's awesome, and I want to learn from him. And then I got to, are you friggin' kidding me? So not only was it friggin' awesome and the hugest learning experience, and I got to sneak my way in. I'm being taught wrestling by Lance Storm. I'm being taught promos by Paul Heyman, Jim Cornette, and Rip Rogers is teaching me how to wrestle for the rest of my life, no matter where you go and what you do. And I got the greatest thing. And then a year into the business, I'm wrestling Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, all these guys, rotating cast of legends, and that's how I got to learn. I am just absolutely spoiled from all that, and it made me better quicker because of that.
Are you still talking to him now as far as maybe getting advice now that you're
Lance?
A veteran?
Oh my God, every week. And he's a real hard ass when it comes to stuff, because I had a concussion once in WWE, and they would come back and they just wanted to see if I could move around, if I was okay. And he critiqued my tie-up, and I wanted to punch him in the face. And because that's Lance, and it's the best. He's so good, it's annoying in a very funny way. So he's someone now, we gravitate towards each other at TNA every single day, whether we're talking about the business or what we're gonna do, but I also get to have him as an agent half the time, which is pretty great. Because he has I guess him and I would be like him and Jericho as a tag team, to where we think very different things, but we're trying to make it awesome, and it's totally different styles. And then once something that I didn't think about, he would, and something that he was like, here's all the straight to book stuff, and I go, what about this crazy outside? And he goes, oh, that's a good idea. So I can help sometimes too. So having him around that is a treasure for anybody. And he's so dry and so funny in the weirdest way. But it's like I grew up watching him, wanting to be him. I got to learn from him, and now I'm still someone who I'm giving advice to people. I'm still learning from Lance every friggin' Impact. It's actually really annoying.
What are some of the challenges that you faced so far in TNA in the almost year you've been there so far?
Challenges? I just getting the word out. There's every once in a while, no matter people go, hey, I love Impact, we love the pay-per-views, we watch what you're doing, and then someone will go, I follow you on social media, I've watched everything you've ever done. Do you still wrestle? And I go, oh, come on, man. I go, bro, Access TV, YouTube, TNA Plus app, check out the show. I'm telling you, if you like wrestling and you watch the show, you're going to be instantly engulfed in it, because the infrastructure's there, the storylines are there, the talent is through the roof. There are some Sometimes people say AEW goes a little fast with stuff. Sometimes WWE goes way too slow in molasses with the same predictable stuff. We are someone that I feel like we're this happy medium of you check out, you don't know what's going to happen one day, but then you see the slow progression of a story and you know where they're going, but then the other half is just you don't know who's going to show up, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know who's be fighting for the title, you know who's going to show up in my match against Joe Hendry at Genesis in the main event.
Like JBL just randomly shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I made the mistake of calling him JBL and I had to do a wild line. It is John Layfield, I believe, because I think WWE owns JBL or something like that. So John Layfield has shown up a few times, and I don't know what he's going to do next. He's whispered something to me that I'd rather not repeat, but it was not like, hey, we're in cahoots and buddies. He just shows up sometimes. So I think he's on a mission of putting together, it seems to be a team or at least a collective or some type of mindset to look for a group. But at the moment, I'm doing my own thing, and if he gets involved, I have nothing to say about that.
You got this beautiful title right behind us, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and as much as you're killing it in that scene, you got to have some form of maybe like a bucket list or checklist. You want to be tag team champions with your brother Ryan?
That would be an awesome thing for me, my family, my parents, everybody watching. But I would want to earn it. I wouldn't want to be like, hey, look, we're brothers. So would it be great if we had we were the champions? Now, if we got to a point of where we started racking up some wins, we started being on the same page, we're kicking some ass and going, hey, you know what? I think we deserve a shot at the title. Okay, great, that's different. So yes, I am someone who doesn't ever want to be handed anything. When I came to TNA, I said, I don't want to be handed the title, I don't want to be in the picture. I go, let me earn it. Let me have the fans going, you should be in the title picture. And a couple months in, I had to do a match with Moose because he kind of forced my hand. But 3 months after that, it was picking up the wins, racking up the wins, finding a way to go, hey, now it's my chance to get a shot, and then coming out of a multi-man match with it. But I mean, I'm not going to look back. I don't have any goals when it comes to titles and moments because I've been so lucky with them so far. What I want to do is never, ever have someone go, I kind of lost a step. We got to take it easy. Or, hey, you know what? I know you're the champ, but just we'll kind of phone it in tonight. I cannot do that. Yeah. I will not allow it. I won't let a match that I'm a part of do it. I won't let a show that I'm on do it. And when I have to follow everybody else's show-stealing matches, I go out there to deliver, and I always will.
You talked about Lance Storm being an influence on you.
You talked about Lance Storm.
I talked about Lance Storm being an influence on you. Is there anybody out there that looks to you as as their Lance Storm in some ways?
God, I hope not. I'm joking. No, there's with TNA we have a couple guys who've been around, Kazarian, myself, the Hardys. It's amazing. Even Moose is getting up there as like a veteran. But there's so many up and comers that are just rocking and rolling and going, asking little advice here and there. What do I do here? What do you think about this? And it's usually not the fake kind. We're like, hey, can you watch my match? Yes, person I don't know. Yeah. Okay. And then they do a match and they're like, well, I'm like, okay, here's 5 things. And then the next time they have a match, they do all the 5 things and you go, you were faking that. Like, you get one time to let me waste my time watching your match to give you some pointers. And by the way, my pointers aren't like, here's what's right. I go, here's what I saw. Yeah. If you think some of these 5 are something that someone else says and you feel it, be conscious of it. But there are so many that are like, do you think this would work here or this would work here? Or should I be doing this at this point? Like, you know what? I could see that next week being this piece. And it's like just giving strategy out as much as I can. I am happy to do it because I got to learn from so many great people that if anyone asks me, I go all in. I go, listen, I will watch your match for the next month every single time, and I'll write you a list of stuff. It might not make any sense to you. You might tell me to go F myself. I don't know. But if you're asking for it, cool. But the fake ones, you give them one match, and then you got to let them go.
TNA's got some big things coming up in 2025, including out here in Los Angeles for Rebellion, and then Slammiversary in New York. What is that like now going into the 2 biggest markets of the U.S. Because of all the buzz that TNA is happening, not just you, but a lot of other people, Joe Hendry, the Hardys, all these great talents coming through, and now you're invading Los Angeles. So what does that mean to you to now that TNA is just growing bigger and bigger throughout the months?
I've been watching it. I've been firsthand watching the last 12 months, and it's been hotter and better and more sold out. In the last 6 pay-per-views, I think, sold out. I was in 5 of those 6 main events going, first of all, it's sold out, that's great. But when you hear the crowds reacting to the great matches, it makes it that much better. And then it gives me, I used to come back for years, my whole catchphrase, behind the scenes. I'd come back through Gorilla. It was me and Kofi, or me and Sheamus, or fighting for the Intercontinental title of the USL. I'd come back and go, follow that, MFers, and throw something, knowing that the main event couldn't follow us. Now I got all these guys and gals stealing the show every step of the way, and I got to follow them in the main event. And then the last 2 pay-per-views, it was Jordan and Masha had a 2 out of 3 falls match. And the Hardys and the System had like tables, ladders, and chairs. It was off the charts. The crowd reaction. Oh, 1, 2, all this stuff. And I go, I got to follow this? Damn, we better be ready to go. And I go, okay, get focused, get ready. Make this better than it's ever been before, because you have to steal a show from 7 other matches that just stole the show. Yeah. Damn it. And they make my job hard, but that's a challenge I was looking for. The last couple years in WWE, I didn't have anything to sink my teeth into. Not having an entrance and doing a 3-minute match with the Street Profits against me and Bob Roode is not going to steal the show. It's not going to be everyone's talking about it. I can't go like, follow that. Not having that chance, it's time to get out of there. So it was here, now I have the chance. Hey, you're the champ. You have the target on your back, everyone's following for you. Everyone's coming for you, and you got to follow all the matches and still send everybody home. So when they go home, they go, we have to go to that New York show. We better be at that LA show. We have to go back because this is the place to be.
It's safe to say that I will be there. I do want to talk a little about your comedy career. How's that going? I know you've been doing a lot of things. I went to one of your shows back in like 2015.
Oh, wow. Back when I was good?
I had a buddy of mine. It was like an improv thing, and you were there. And yeah, you were great. My buddy was great. But how's that going in 2024, going into 2025?
It's awesome. My brother and I, just because, for Busted Open on SiriusXM, I have to watch all wrestling no matter what's going on, whether I want to or not. So anytime there was a gigantic AEW, WWE, TNA, independent show, a big pay-per-view, like SummerSlam was in Cleveland, so we booked a show there 2 nights before. We had Bound for Glory, and it was like, oh, let's book a show for that. So we're working on one for Genesis. Anytime there's a big pay-per-view where we know a bunch of wrestling fans, we'll try and get a show in there if we can, if we're not working the night before somewhere else. But any company's big pay-per-view, the fans are almost always the same ones that bounce in and out of all the shows, and we have a blast doing it. And it's still, I used to focus on that because I was like, not being challenged at work. And now I'm being challenged at work, and it's insane, but I still get that outlet to go do it and have some fun and, poke fun at the weird job that we have, that we're all oiled up in underwear and fighting each other, and then go back to all business the next day. I live for that. Like, I love a challenge. It makes me write new material. It makes me stay up on all what's happening in wrestling, so I can have my little inside jokes, but also focus on that and separating it and going, hey, we got a show over here that's selling out too.
What's the best case scenario for your comedy career? I know a lot of people aim for the pilots or the movies. So what's like your ultimate for that comedy?
It's gonna seem fake. It's like, it's not titles, it's not moments. It's, I want to be awesome at my wrestling job, awesome at talking in my wrestling job, and an awesome ambassador for the company that I'm in my job. And I think doing stand-up comedy, doing speaking and media engagements, and then talking to fans behind the scenes, and then going on Fox News to talk politics, or talking data when it comes to TNA and all these different pieces. I want to be an absolute renaissance man that can back it up with data, facts, jokes, stories. But anytime I'm doing stand-up comedy or improv in the ring, or improv at a show, it adds to the comfortableness of being in the ring and making me a better wrestler. So all those pieces are just to make me better at my job, and I don't want to stop them, and I don't have I don't want a Netflix special or something. I just want to be so quick and so smart with what I say and what I do that helps my wrestling career.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. All right, we're gonna do a really quick lightning questions. All right.
Okay.
Let's see if you get it right. Best line from Dumb and Dumber.
This is what I used to say to Mondo all the time because I don't remember too many of them. Actually, I got a couple of them. Let's see. It is...
We got no food.
Actually, no, it's not even a funny line. It just goes, how's your burger? And they're laughing because he's got all the peppers on there or whatever. I used to say that to Mondo. We were roommates for about a year in Tampa, and we would say it all the time. Or, big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. That's the extent of it for me. I'm not as psychotically into the movie, and I didn't want to hurt my feelings and see the second one.
Oh, second one.
I refuse to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I like the first one too much that I wouldn't do that to myself.
All right, best SNL sketch.
My God. down to one. Massive Head Wound Harry.
That's a good answer.
So,
no love for cowbell?
No, you know what?
No, you didn't.
Cowbell's fine. It's almost like you go into a Motorhead concert and they're playing Ace of Spades. You're like, got it. But there's 50 other songs that are so good. Let's get to that. But everybody just sings Ace of Spades and then goes for the bathroom break for everything else. I'm like, the Motorhead B-sides, those are the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Our last question before we start cutting it out and promoting the shows.
Yeah.
Where were you when the Cavaliers won the title in 2016?
I think I was riding in a car from a wrestling show to a media appearance, and we were driving a certain direction that we were starting to lose the feed on regular terrestrial or regular radio. And I asked the driver to stop driving to the next destination. We pulled off on the side of the road for like the last 6 minutes of the game, which ends up being 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But I was there. And also one time I was in the air, headed to the Middle East with The Miz. We were sitting next to each other sharing headphones as the Indians at the time were in the World Series. And we were getting pieces like, and he steps up to the plate. Against the wall, and he's out at home, and you're like, we're 30,000 feet in the air, headed to the Middle East, and it's going in and out of the Wi-Fi, and we're like, what is happening? And then we can't send texts or do anything. It was like really exciting. That was another fun one, but they ended up losing that series, but no big deal.
They'll be back.
They'll be back.
They'll be back. But thank you so much. TNA Rebellion, TNA Genesis, all the cool stuff coming up 2025.
Big one, baby.
Any parting words for all you TNA fans out there?
For everybody who knows where TNA has been headed for the last 2 years, this is the big jump. This is the time. This is the time to talk to your friends. It's up on us to make it organic and get people to get their butts in those seats, because we got some big arenas to fill. And if you check out our show and you talk to everybody, whether it's Moose or Joe Hendry or Frankie Kazarian, you're going to know that this is the place to be. 2025 is the year we're going for it all.
Stay tuned.